Hello, everybody. My name is Christopher Saunders, and this is the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. We talk all things talents in Connecticut. This is another episode of the summer series for Connecticut high school football. And I kind of had to go in my backyard as far as the broadcasting side is concerned. Again, NVL head coach from the Seymour Wildcats. That's the football program run by Mike Kearns, who's been with the program now for a couple years. Mike, it's a pleasure to be able to have you on.
Thanks, Chris. It's great to be on. Appreciate it.
I think it's a surreal moment as far as to know that there's schedules. There's practice. There's stuff to do. Like there's an opportunity like stuff that wasn't done last year. I mean, the last time you even probably had any sort of inclination of there being an upcoming season was during the 19 season. So now it's kind of like here we go. It's going. This train's going, and it's not going to stop.
Right. Yeah, it's been so strange, since really March of 2020, now is like the first inclination we're actually going to play a game. Back in March of 2020, they right before the NVL lifting competition, actually, that's when things kind of got shut down and everything, canceled the spring seasons. And then it was like a back and forth, will they, won't they play? And, you know, one day we're practicing in the summer, the next day we're off for 2 weeks, and then it's what exactly is going on? What's the story? Now after seeing the winter played, the spring sports played, it kind of seems like we're getting back to normal and kind of getting back into that football mode. So it's certainly an exciting time for us. I mean, it's been so long, and we're all really just excited to get back into it. I'm sure all the other teams in the state are.
One thing too that I think this season's going to bring, and there's going to be a lot of excitement. I think there's going to be more energy than normal just because of what happened in 2020 with the season being canceled. And it was one of the few states in which football was just not played. But that's
Right.
neither here nor there. We won't even get into that. I think the question for every coach, and I know now it's maybe you're starting to get an idea of kind of what your roster is going to be, not so much the starters, but just the roster. Um, because of the fact that schools had distance learning, I know some coaches who lost players and they're not coming back because they have jobs, because they have other things. And I respect that. But there's other issues as well, grades and such that it makes it difficult. And I guess the question I have for you is how have you been able to kind of keep up with the players that you've either tried to attract to come play or the ones that played in the past for you, but make sure that A, they stay level headed, but also two, their mental health side is staying on the up and up as well.
Yeah, I mean it's certainly tough. I think from the guys who are upperclassmen now, the seniors and the juniors who were freshmen and sophomores last time we had a season. You don't really get much turnover there. I think they know what high school football is about. They've been in the program. We really didn't lose anything. Maybe a guy or so from those two classes. It's the guys who were freshmen last year that never really got the opportunity to really do anything. Summer conditioning here and there, and they never got to play a game, never got to put pads on. So we lost a handful of guys there in that aspect. So that was certainly difficult. But as far as getting guys in, we stayed on top of it. Reaching out to them, having their friends talk to the guys that are on the roster, and just trying to keep on and say, hey, you got to try out. You're gonna regret it if you don't play. Just come to a weightlifting session. Come to a conditioning, and kind of see what it's all about. But the grades too, that was always an issue. I always try to stay on top as much as I can. I ask the kids every few weeks, maybe once every couple of months, just hey guys, just send me a progress report to see where we're at. This guy's got to come up. This guy, this grade's got to be here. This grade's got to be there. It's just important to stay on top of it. I think it one shows the kids that they should care. You want to do well. But then from the football side, it's like we really can't afford to lose guys, So it's a lot of hard work staying on top of that, But you got those kids that you don't really have to worry about in that aspect too. The kids, the grades are always there; they're always doing the right thing. It's the guys that maybe they struggle. They struggle with distance learning. That wasn't easy for anyone. So you just make sure you stay on top of that, and just stay in contact with them. That was the biggest thing. Whether it's email, text, phone calls. We have a Remind app that we use to stay in contact with the kids. So that was really helpful.
Now, looking at on the field, as far as we talked about how the freshmen and sophomores are now juniors and seniors, and the loss of developmental time, not being able to have the weightlifting competitions, the one-on-ones that you would have, just in-game reps. Um, do you think, and I know it's hard to say just because you really haven't had a lot of practice time with them and you haven't really been able to kind of get things going, with pads and such. But speaking of just your team in particular, how, without giving up too much information, and I know that may be hard, um, how how would you say the learning curve is going to be early on for this Wildcats team?
I think it's going to be a learning curve, for all teams. I mean, every year you're going to have teams that have guys that are starting or contributing as freshmen or sophomore. Maybe more so in the Class S rather than double L and L, the bigger schools. Um, but I mean, it's huge. I mean, lack of experience is a huge portion. Lack of experience, game experience, varsity game experience, quality reps is big. Um, and then it's difficult because your juniors are guys that were freshmen the last time on our roster. And sometimes they don't get enough reps. They need that those 2.5 years of development, and they lost that year, and that's huge. And now they're this gigantic part of your team, of your varsity squad. Um, so it's a lot of learning on the fly. They got to be able to pick things up quick, and you're counting on them, and the whole team's counting on them. It's certainly a difficult aspect, because the last time they played, they're blocking against guys that were freshmen too, and now all those guys are a lot bigger. There's so much to it, losing a year of development, losing a year in the weight room, losing a year of JV or what have you. It's certainly difficult, I know for us, we only have a handful of guys that really have much varsity experience, quality varsity experience coming back, which, I think it's hard to say how much it's going to translate, how much of an impact it's going to have. I think at the end of the day, sometimes, it's just football players playing football. But I think it's certainly going to play a role. I mean, they have to learn all the plays much quicker.
Mhm.
They have to remember what we used to run. They have to learn all the new stuff. So it's certainly going to be a challenge, but I think we got a good group of guys, and they're up to the challenge. So that's, kind of the way we're running with it.
Just to go to the players in the past, because we're going to talk about some of the present players that are on the roster in a little bit and kind of how this team is going to be, because I have you guys a couple times for the radio. Um, that 2019 team, man, was astounding. I mean, the Harmeling, and I know I'm forgetting so many names, but just the ones off the top of my head. And I saw them play basketball. The Harmeling brothers, Kyle and Kevin, if I remember right. Hope I got their names right.
Yep.
You also had Kearns on the running back, and I think between him and the quarterback, it was just like give it to Dion. Oh, he's gonna run it. You know what? Harmeling saying it was just so hard to stop them, and I could see why it was so lethal. And how hard was it for you and the staff that you did not have another year because of what happened in 2020, that you could not see how far that team could go? Because I felt like that 2019 season was like, okay, up here, and then you build off of that, potential states, who knows about the title. I mean, I feel like there was just a lost opportunity there, and I'm sure the guys feel the same way.
Yeah, I mean, man, we had such high expectations. I remember talking about it, before, out in February, March, before the lifting competition was scheduled. Just the potential we had. I mean, we had such a great, punch with Kevin Harmley and Curtis Dion and Jimmy Coughlin in 2019. Running the ball, and we had a really tremendous line, led by Adam Bolano, who was a All-State DN that year. And he was going to be a senior this last 2020 season. Another outstanding DN as well. We had a couple other pieces on the line that came back, and Aiden Brett and Jersey Sila. We had 3 linebackers back. We just had a lot of pieces. We had 17 seniors. A couple of new guys would have been one and done, but we had 13, 14 guys coming back. We had a really strong junior class and a couple of young guys who we thought were going to contribute as sophomores and freshmen. And we just we thought it was going to be a really really good year for us. And then obviously things didn't pan out, and it was just obviously from a football perspective, it was very difficult. From coaching perspective, very difficult. And those kids, I know how hard it was for them. It was just devastating in a sense, knowing that one, they couldn't play their senior year, but two, knowing the potential they had. If you remember back in 2019, we beat Naugatuck in double OT. We went head to head with Insona. We lost by 3. We had a lot of good opportunities to win some games that we lost. We were close. We felt close. And 6-4, but I feel like we could have been a little bit better as far as in the win-loss column. A couple of plays here and there. But yeah, we were ready to build off that. We were having a strong off season to start, and early part of 2020, and it's just it was really unfortunate. I think it's certainly a missed opportunity as far as what for the program and everything. It would have been great to see. I tell you what, it would have been a heck of a show. And now we got a lot of guys that got to pick up the slack, and that's kind of where we're at right now.
The record itself from 2019, and I know you mentioned how some of the big wins, Naugatuck, you were close with Ansonia. Now, coincidentally enough, if I remember right, you and Woodland were probably the only two in the NVL who played them close. Happened to just be both in the copper, and Woodland was peaking too with some of the teams that they had, players that they had, Belinsky and so on and so forth. I mean, they had so many guys. Also, Palmieri, the running back as well. What was the message for the seniors from that 2019? I'll go 2020, and then obviously 2021, because that's 2 classes.
Right.
I don't know how much they had as far as communication, because I know there wasn't football and such, but what was the message to the Seymour players of this season and for the next seasons to come? I mean, did they share anything as far as that you could share?
Yeah, I mean, the message was, you got to take the opportunities when they come. Sometimes you may take a rep off or something like that, and or go 80% when you can go 100, and that translates. There are opportunities where we certainly could have won games in 2019, and we didn't. We didn't capitalize on the opportunities, or we made mistakes, and at some point that all translates back, whether it's the weight room or practice or what have you. And then if you flash forward to 2020 and that season's gone, that's a huge missed opportunity. And if you think like, oh man, if I just if I capitalize that opportunity before in 2019, maybe we would have made the playoffs, or maybe would have won that game, and now I don't get that chance. But that senior class from last year, was such a great group, and they're so mature, and they handled it so beautifully. I'm so proud of them, and it's admirable how they handled it. And the same thing goes to this class, this coming senior class. It's like, what it feels like to not have a season. Don't let this opportunity pass you. Don't take it for granted. You can get hurt. I hope nothing happens with another pandemic or anything in society where we have to wait another year or anything. But that's the message. Don't take it for granted. Don't miss the opportunity. It's your opportunity to do something great. Have fun one last time with all your friends and in front of your town and community. And it's you got to run with it. You got to enjoy it, because it doesn't last forever. And unfortunately, last year's senior class across the state, they learned that the hard way.
I want to talk about the Wildcats this year, and kind of the players that you have both returning, but also kind of players that maybe people may not know about. Because just thinking about the 2019 team and how that team was designed, and I only saw you guys, I think, for the one game against I think it was 2 games, because I saw you guys, I think, another, whatever. I remember one specifically was Naugatuck, and that was the best game. That was fun. That team, you didn't throw that much because you didn't have to, because you had Dion, you had Harmeling, and they just run, and it was just effective. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, I don't want to say that's going to be the same game plan, because you may not have the same kind of athletes and also experience. So again, without giving too much, I mean, how is it going to be? I mean, what kind of offense could you be potentially running this season?
Look, you're always changing things, year to year because there's always turnover. You always lose guys. You always have guys step up. There's always turnovers. So you try to cater to your players. This year, we have a different group of players, so there's going to be some of the stuff we do regularly, some new stuff. Some stuff we've done in the past when I coached at Newtown, we'll probably bring back. As coaches, we're always learning, so we always bring new things into the fold. We have guys back that did play in 2019, so we know what they can do. We want to continue on with what they know so that they can be succeed at it, right? And the new guys, it's still a learning process. They got to learn the plays and things like that, and we got to learn what they can do. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of these guys really ever play. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, you'll probably see a lot of things we've done in the past with guys like Kevin and Curtis, and guys on the line, and some of those the plays that we ran against Naugatuck, against Antonia, and all the other NVL teams, Woodland, Wolcott. But you'll probably also see some new stuff that we haven't shown. Things we had in the playbook that we never called. So it's going to be it's going to be a lot of the same, and some new stuff in there. On both sides of the ball. Again, we're always trying to find the best ways for us as a program to succeed, and if that means 1 week we're throwing the ball, 1 week we're running the ball, then that's what we're going to do. So that's it. I mean, we're trying to evaluate what we got and cater the best the best way to make them successful.
Are there any players in particular that you can share that maybe I should be watching for when I broadcast the games, or I should be paying attention to, even if I'm not broadcasting, but I'm either talking with various players, coaches during my, season with the NVL? Are there any that you can share that I should be putting in my database in my mind so I should know later on?
Yeah, sure. I'll start with probably our most experienced player. He's our captain at the moment. The only one we've named so far, Ichi. He played linebacker for us, a lot of special teams in 2019 as a sophomore. He kind of got thrown to the fire due to injury. He actually had the game clinching interception against St. Paul in week 1. If you go back to that season, and then he kind of he just parlayed that into a pretty good year. He played in every game. He started quite a big handful. So he's back. He's he's the leader of the defense. So we're going to go as far as he can take us defensively. Some other guys, Caden Drezick, he's the next guy up in the line of great quarterbacks. He's going to be a junior, so we're really looking forward to seeing what he can do and leading us to the next step. Robert Bernard, he's another guy. He's doing a lot of camps right now, trying to get looks. I mean, wasn't a lot of recruiting last year, obviously. He's a lineman. He's got great size. Really meets the eye test. We're hoping he's going to be, our next big anchor on the line. We got a lot of skilled guys that can name them off. Guys that you want to keep your eye out for. Sean Foster, Jay McCown, Kayla Nemo-Safa. Those are a couple of seniors there that we're hoping are going to be big parts of our offense and defense and the skill type positions. And we got a lot of young guys we're hoping are going to step up and contribute too. Colin Fry, he played a tight end for us a couple of years ago. He's going to be a junior now. Dylan Sabina is another guy coming up. We got a lot of guys we're hoping are going to take the next step forward for Seymour. So it's again, a lot of these guys we haven't really seen play much. We're basing off what we know now, what we're seeing now, and what we think they're going to give us.
On the roster too, you also have a lot of players that play multiple sports. I know you mentioned Nemo Safa, you mentioned Drezick, both played on the basketball team with Carfiello, which was one of the best teams that Seymour had. I mean, it was a shame that they couldn't go deeper or see them in states. But again, I think when I think of Seymour, like I do Ansonia, like I do Woodland, play multiple sports. They just don't stick to one sport. And as a coach, you have to love that because your players are not getting burnt out. And 2, that while maybe they're not playing football or practicing or lifting 24/7 during the off season, they're getting the necessary work on the basketball court, working on, the lateral movement and other things. It could be baseball as far as maybe their feet. Could be for Drezick, if he played baseball, could be arm strength. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. But what I'm trying to say is being at Seymour and having that talent is one thing, but seeing it play multiple sports is even better.
Yeah, I'm actually really close with Coach Karf, a great basketball coach. He had a great year last season. A lot of the Harmon brothers were playing there too. But yeah, Nemo, Drezick, both great basketball players. They just got named captain, I think, just the other day for the basketball squad for next season. So congrats to them. But yeah, we have a lot of guys that play basketball, a lot of guys that play baseball. A couple guys that run track, indoor and outdoor. So yeah, I'm all for it. We're always lifting, so I completely understand why people play other sports, and I think it's great for them. Track has a lot of benefits for speed and conditioning. Basketball, like you said, the lateral movement. It's great for your vertical. Baseball, there's a lot of benefits to that. We had a lot of guys playing baseball, Jack Raymond, Aiden Brett, a couple of years ago. So I'm all for it. As long as they're doing something, that's usually what I want. I don't want them being idle, which I think was a huge part of this last season, because it wasn't a spring sport or football conditioning's on and off. The kids are sitting at home, playing video games or doing whatever they're doing. They're not being healthy. They're not running around, not moving around. That's what you don't want to see. You want the kids active. In a sense, you don't want them going too much and getting themselves hurt or burning themselves out, but you always want them active. And I think that's a big key. So like I said, I got a close relationship with Coach Karf. I'm close with Coach Gilbert, the baseball coach. So, it's great to see those guys play other sports. It's great to see them succeed in other sports. And at some point or another, it's all going to translate together. Football is going to help you better at basketball at some point, and vice versa. And same with baseball and track. So, it's great to see the guys play, and hopefully all that stuff is going to translate in the football field in the fall.
I don't know if you have kind of looked at or have talked to the coaches in the NVL, or just trying to remember, okay, this is who's here, this is who isn't as far as graduating and such. But when I think of the NVL and kind of thinking about, okay, this is who's returning and that of from 2019, here's who left. I mean, there's a lot of question. I mean, Ansonia's Ansonia. They're going to run the hammer. You know what they're going to do. They're going to somehow find a running back from freshman year who's now like next. I'm telling you, it's just give me the rock. I could run for 2,000 yards with that line.
Yeah, right.
But seriously though, I think other than Ansonia and Holy Cross, because I think they have a lot of pretty good pieces coming back, even with some of what they lost with Yeldell, and they had that who's a junior now, Leegee, I think is one of the best running backs in the league, probably the state. There's a lot to be had as far as being, and I'm not saying that you can't beat those teams. I'm just throwing them out there. There's no reason why you can't be one of those top 3 teams. Just throw them out there and see which one works, because there's a lot of question marks, because like you mentioned before we started, there's a lot of new coaches. Boehner at Derby, Anderson at Naugatuck, Chanciola at St. Paul, also Watertown, Stanko, if I said his name right, he's at Watertown. He was a former assistant with them. Sacred Heart's not there anymore. There's a lot to be had. There's a lot of questions, but there's a lot of opportunity, and the Wildcats could capitalize on that.
Yeah, look at you said yourself. There's a lot of new coaches. I know, Joe Leo just hired at Woodland. Willie's got a new coach.
Yep.
A lot of teams we play have coaches that we actually haven't seen before. We're close with Lato, so we've seen Lato, here and there from Massick or, he's a great coach. He's going to do an outstanding job at Woodland. But yeah, here's the thing. I don't really know what everyone has. Brockett's back. I played against Brockett. Anderson's back. We played against him to a degree when he was at Woodland. So, we know a couple things about him. But there's a lot of new faces, and there's going to be a lot of new faces as far as the players. Holy Cross always has a strong team, but there's some guys when we played them in 2019 that were young. So you got to think that they're going to have a nice, strong group. But it's like hit or miss. You don't really know. I don't think coaches exactly know what they have at this point, because we haven't put the pads on them forever. You could have a guy in the weight room, who looks the part, and then you get on the field and, maybe he can't get the job done. So that's, there's a lot of question marks all over. There's question marks in Seymour. There's question marks in Soren. There's question marks everywhere right now. And all the coaches are doing trying to figure out the answers. I believe in our guys. I believe in our staff, and I believe we can be one of the best teams in the NBL. And that's the goal. The expectation is that we're going to go out there, compete at the highest level every game, every practice, and find ourselves in the playoffs. That's always the goal. I think we got a really good group. I think our team knows it, and I think that we are one of the best teams in the NBL. And we just got to go out there and play our game, and and hopefully the chips fall to our table.
Coach, I really do appreciate you coming on. I do have one more question for you, real quick. As someone who's going to be seeing you live during the season, what can I expect from this Wildcats team? I know it's hard to project and predict, but just from your point of view, because at the end of the day, they're not so much their play, but how they play reflects you and the staff, regardless of win or loss. So what do you like? What kind of Wildcats team do you want to be represented? I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
We're going to have a team that's going to fight. They're going to go out there. They're going to give it all every play. We always preach the little things, so the little things all add up to big things. They're going to have a team that's going to put everything out there 100%. And that's the goal. Yeah, you want to show them that if you work for it, if you work hard in the weight room, you work hard in practice, you work hard when you're running, that it's all going to translate. And then you got to work hard in the game. So I think you're going to see a team that's going to go out there, compete 100% for every play, every down, and that's the goal. I mean, I can't predict wins and losses because we're not there yet. But the expectation is that they're going to be out there. They're going to compete for 4 quarters every game. We're going to give everyone our best game of football.
Coach, once again, thank you for being able to come on, and I'm looking forward to. Hopefully, I don't know if we have to socially distance or if I'm allowed or not to come on the field, but I'm looking forward to being able to see Seymour play and hopefully be able to talk to you in person, regardless 6 feet or not.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping the same thing. It's we're hoping to get out there and play at Wilby. Week 2 is our first game, so we're really looking forward to that. And hopefully we have a full season, no issues.
Now, wrap things up in the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. CT stands for Connecticut Talent. I'm our journey to find them all. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, and be well.